63 years ago, a good man entered this world and changed it for the better. He walked into our lives wearing rainbow suspenders, full of energy, endless impressions, rapid-fire humor at its finest. Throughout his 63 years, made us shed many a tear along with continual hearty laughs. And that's the way I think he'd want us to remember him by. And that's what we're here to do today. We're here to celebrate the life of Robin Williams.
Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
AdvBlueDude.
And yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do because, oh boy, the entertainment world, and I think just the world in general, like, this goes beyond a celebrity death, I think. This is like, I feel like everyone, everyone who's ever watched a movie, everyone who's ever, basically unless you're living in a third world country, like, Robin Williams has affected you. Like, Robin Williams he's one of the greats. He was one of the big ones. And it's one of those things where, there's no easy way to talk about it. There's no easy way to go about it. But we have to do something. We have to gather here and celebrate the life, the legacy, and mourn the passing of a dear friend. Everyone wanted to have a friend like Robin Williams. I'd say that's fair to say. So,
oh yeah.
All right. So, anyways, I think it'd kind of be a little bit of an interesting way to start to kind of go round table and, like, when did you first hear about this yesterday, and what was your initial reaction? Because I really do feel like this is one of those things where it's like you're going to remember where you were when you first heard about this. So, BlueDragonFive, you want to start?
Okay. Well, I had kind of an odd reaction to it. So I was getting my dinner, and I heard someone told me that Robin Williams passed away, and first I'm going like, well, what? Because I think that's an odd thing to say. Robin Williams passed away. I mean, he wasn't young, but he wasn't that old. I mean,
63, yeah.
Say 63. I mean, compared to the passings of nowadays, that's pretty young. And heard that, I was thinking, no, it can't be true. It's like the Jackie Chan rumor, and everyone thought he was dead. And I'm thinking, no, it's got to be some sort of sick gag. Then I look it up, and I see Robin Williams dies at 63. I'm like, no, how? Was it a heart attack? I mean, he had heart surgery ago, but now I'm finding out suicide. Everyone's committing suicide. Well, it does fit. I mean, he's had his bouts with alcoholism and depression, but it's sad. I mean, just more kind of like I was a little struck. It was just, I can't really process it. I guess. I mean, I didn't feel overwhelmingly sad, but I felt just kind of taken off the game. Like, that's odd. That's a shame. He kills. I mean, the pieces were there, but I just never really. He didn't really. I kind of logically put together in my head. I mean, at the moment, nothing really was going that bad for him. But I guess the seeds were always there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. It's like we can go through his whole filmography, and it's really kind of fascinating. Especially towards the 2000s, like he had that stream of early to mid 2000s where he did these really challenging and bizarre roles, like stuff like Insomnia, 1 Hour Photo, even stuff like Death to Smoochie, where he'd take on these different elements of himself, and it's really a reoccurring thing. Like, goddamn, I feel like this is just like almost like a repeat of the process that I went through last year with Justin Carmichael, Jew Wario, passing in a very similar way. But anyways, AdvBlueDude, you want to give your story?
I was at McDonald's. That's essentially the story. I mean, I
was at the county fair when I found out Michael Jackson died. I was ordering a snow cone.
You should have ridden the Ferris wheel in his honor. But
Oh, God.
I had a similar reaction to BlueDragonFive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with me, this is kind of a bizarre coincidence. Me and BlueDragonFive, we reviewed the Mork and Mindy Christmas special for Christmas in July, so that really kind of got me back into Robin Williams a little bit. I had watched the Evening with Robin Williams stand-up special a couple years ago and started getting really into his stand-up work, so again, just another piece of the Robin Williams puzzle, because it's like you've got the family roles, you've got the drama, you've got the kind of scary roles. So it's like, and then with his stand-up, that's so just profanity-ridden, yet just absolutely brilliant. But anyways, my whole point is, Robin Williams, he's definitely someone that was on the forefront of my mind, and in fact, this is kind of a bizarre story. So, BlueDragonFive and I, we had our, we were scheduled to do our Guardians of the Galaxy review last night, and so I was actually looking up images to use for the thumbnail, and I came across one that I really wanted to use. That was, it was a poster of Good Will Hunting, except Matt Damon had been replaced with Groot, and it was Groot Will Hunting. And it was Matt Damon, it was Groot and Robin Williams, looking like they were in the middle of this deep conversation. And I thought that was very fitting because me and BlueDragonFive were sure to have a deep conversation about the movie. Of course, I didn't use that thumbnail because, in all good taste. But essentially, what happened was I picked out that thumbnail, I saved it to my folder, and then I went on a walk. And I went on, and this was like literally, this must have been like right before the news broke, because it wasn't, it still hadn't hit Facebook or anything like that. And I went on this walk, and then when I came back, my dad was at my house, and and he told me, he just gotten off of work, and he's just like, did you hear about Robin Williams? And of course, he was on my mind because I was thinking about that thumbnail and how funny it was and how clever it was going to be. And I was like, no, what happened? And he's just like, and my dad was just like, he killed himself, 63 years old. And so my whole thing, it was just this bizarre feeling that I was just on this walk, and on the walk I was listening to the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack and just rocking the hell out.
What song?
And then it just all hit me. Just, like, it was just such a bizarre feeling to walk away from the internet, and then when I come back, that happens. And yeah, it was a process, and then I guess immediately afterwards I watched the Mork and Mindy episode, Dr. Morkenstein, which BlueDragonFive had been pretty consistently begging me to watch, and yeah, we'll talk about that, when we talk about his work, but just overall, it just kind of, oh boy, it was a hard one to take. It definitely was. I mean, Robin Williams, it's funny, he was one of those people, like, in middle school, I was actually kind of annoyed by him, because he was doing this string of, like, where he was in, like, Robots, and let's see, what else, like, Old Dogs, Wild Hogs, stuff like that.
Well, he wasn't in Wild Hogs.
Yeah, he wasn't in Wild Hogs, I'm sorry, but, he was doing all these RV classic example where
RV is not.
And I was just like, man, Robin Williams, like he's just like, and it's just, but just looking back over his body of work, it's just tremendous, and so it's one of those things I'm still processing it. Like I have not been this sad about a celebrity death since personally, on a personal level, like with Philip Seymour Hoffman, it was more sort of like, I'm very sad that I'm not going to see him in movies anymore. And don't get me wrong, it's very tragic what happened to Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I'm not trying to make light of it on a personal level, but I'm just saying, like, with him, it struck me in in a hard way, but mostly because I was such a big fan of his, and it just kind of like, there's just going to be this void in Hollywood now that he's not around. But with Robin Williams, I think it's definitely more personal. I think Robin Williams is a person that, I mean, I think, the whole friend like me thing, we all felt like we knew Robin Williams in a way.
I think it's that we grew up with him.
What?
I think it's that we grew up with him.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Multiple generations grew up with him.
Yeah.
My dad grew up with him watching Mork and Mindy, and it's just, I don't know. The fascinating thing about Robin Williams, looking at his filmography and just looking at his body of work, is he basically exposed every single facet of who he was. People get like, oh, Robin Williams, he's really funny. But no, that was just like sure, that was a big part of it. And a lot of his humor influenced a lot of the other things that he did. But there was just so much to the man. He was an incredibly complex individual, incredibly intelligent, very kind. Like everyone who met him always said how soft-spoken and gentle he was. And so...
Remember, he was...
do you want to... Like, I very much have some personal things to say about his passing, but before I get to that, do you guys want to kind of go around and just kind of say, like, in a nutshell, kind of like, any personal things you want to say about this?
Well, do you mean just about his life, or do you mean about the passing?
Just anything. Just any sort of personal attachment you might have to this.
I remember Robin Williams. He touched many lives. I mean, you remember this as a kid. The reason his comedy was so powerful is because, like any comedian, he's got a lot of tragedy in the background. It's kind of the tragedy has to be compensated by this great humor.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And bearing that in mind, like he was just a lonely kid, distant from his parents, I believe. He's loving but really distant. He grew up shy and alone, and kind of turned into just kind of feeling emotionally distant. When he did Mork and Mindy, I mean, behind the scenes, he had a major drug problem.
Yeah, right.
I mean, in at least the TV movie I saw, which we should talk about at some point, I believe, I'm not sure if this is dramatization, I think this actually happened, that he was there with John Belushi the night he died.
I heard about that, yeah.
So, I mean, he had some demons, Robin Williams. He had some issues. I mean, literally, they did an episode of Mork and Mindy where Robin Williams meets himself because he was having so many issues. He was having so many issues, and he was feeling so distraught over John Belushi, just thinking the celebrity life was really getting to him. He wanted to let people know, look, I'm not just the funny Mork guy. There's more.
I'm not just this. I'm not, like, my personality is not just like,
Essentially, kind of like Andy Kaufman syndrome, pretty much. He wanted just to show that there's more to him than his character. This thing happens all the time in Hollywood. You're being identified by your character. They did an episode where Mork meets Robin Williams, the actor, and he basically does a PSA to the audience saying, well, I am Robin Williams, but people don't really get to know me. Like, I grew up this way, but really, I grew up this way. I make people laugh, but really, it's there's more to me than that. It's a real personal message he outlined there. Mork made me do stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, and the problem is he did touch lives big time. He has made definitely a mark on the world. Two instances I really want to highlight that really just kind of touched me.
Sure.
I remember he was friends with Christopher Reeve. They both went to Juilliard together. They roomed together. When the acting school, they would they were roommates and they were friends. Basically when Christopher Reeve could walk back in the day. Then after Christopher Reeve had his accident, Robin Williams was the friend by the bedside. He cheered him up, and he got Christopher Reeve to laugh for the first time after his incident. And what he did was there's some movie Robin Williams did where he's a Russian guy. I feel bad for not remembering what the title is, but essentially he did this. He impersonated like a Russian doctor of some sort, and he would basically. He's joking that Christopher Lee is about to give him a prostate exam of some sort, and basically make Christopher Lee laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a moving thing. That he was his buddy back then. He came there in his friend's time of need to cheer him up when he needed cheering up most. Essentially, he made Superman laugh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just that's something powerful and stuff. He made a good man laugh, and by proxy, he basically kind of was the stepping stone in the line of showing Christopher Reeve that, hey, look, life's not over. You can still make a difference in the world, which he did do.
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Coming from that motivation to laugh from Robin Williams. So again, from his tragedy came something really positive to bring the positive out of someone else who's been through great tragedy. And speaking of that, you had this great thing that he and his cohorts, Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal, they did to save lives and help many when they would raise money with the comic relief shows. I mean, they made a whole bunch of people laugh for a very noble purpose, to raise money to rebuild during after tragedy. A few times. It's a lot through comedy, again, spurning from this tragedy, which kind of has led to his ultimate demise, but using that for good, using that to save many people, build lives. He's made a mark on the world in the most positive of ways.
Yeah, most certainly. Adventure Blue Dude, any personal things to say?
I mean, yeah. It's hard to put things into words, especially with this, because it kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting this to happen.
That's the biggest thing you can really say about it.
Yeah. It's definitely the celebrity death of our generation, I suppose.
Not just of our generation, everyone's generation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, our generation is, like, a generation or two before us had the Kennedy assassination.
Essentially, yeah, essentially he's been around in Hollywood for at least 4 decades, 70s,
Yeah.
80s, 90s, 2000s. I guess 5, technically, but, really, 4 to 5 generations. Decades,
No, I mean, like, in the 90s, there was Chris Farley's death, there was John Candy's death, and there was Phil Hartman's death.
Right.
And that didn't quite stop the nation. How Robin Williams did.
Yeah, because like I said, it's just, I feel like there's just this dark cloud hanging over everything today.
Yeah, kind of. I guess it's just kind of like this mentality of, I'm exaggerating here, mind you, but I'm saying, like, okay, so like God and or Jesus has passed. So, like, basically this man who was thought of as a god is no longer immortal. He is mortal, and he has been struck down. So, like, now we're all the safety's off. We're all in the docket if this guy's gone.
Yeah.
I think the really tragic part about it, though, is that it was depression-related suicide.
Yes.
And I know I'm repeating something that's been repeated thousands of times on Reddit, but the story from Watchmen is actually really true and very poignant with this. The Pagliacci story.
Oh, right.
Joke, rather, like, a man went to a therapist and said, I don't know, I can't.
A man goes to a doctor.
Yeah.
A man goes to the doctor, and he's crying, and he says, I've tried everything, I can't stop crying. And he's really depressed. And he says, he asked him what to do, and he says, okay, you should go see the great clown Pagliacci. Then, the man just saying he's complaining of depression, and then he starts breaking down weeping after he says you should see the great clown Pagliacci. And he says, well, why are you crying? He says, well, doctor, you don't get it. I am Pagliacci.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very poignant.
Right.
This. I know it's been repeated thousands of times on Reddit last night, but it really is the most appropriate thing to compare it to, I suppose. It's just tragic. He's had such a long career. He's done so many things.
And not only did he have a long career, I think, it's one of those things where we were all just kind of like, just waiting to see what he was going to do next. I mean, he's the type of guy where he very much had it in him to pull off another, 1 hour photo or Goodwill Hunting type role. You know what I mean? It's like...
It's strange, because all the celebrities that we, quote-unquote, wait for to die, Robin Williams was not on that list. Like, nobody expected this to happen.
I fear Robin Williams had at least another good 25 years in him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, certainly, yeah.
Probably.
But wait, actually, speaking of that, in terms of the future Robin Williams, what we thought was going to be, something, the last thing I really thought of with Robin Williams was like, yeah, he could make a good Cat in the Hat in the next Cat in the Hat animated film.
Yeah, you did mention that.
So I mean, that was like the last thought I really had about Robin Williams thinking, well, you know, if he could bring something that's really funny and kind of out there, like his rapid fire style humor, but maybe put some heart behind like his old performances, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now we're not, not getting that. But it was like the last thought I really had of the guy. Now he's gone.
Yeah, and we do have Night at the Museum 3 to look forward to.
True.
And a few other movies as well.
Yeah,
others,
a couple
yes.
others. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Night at the Museum 3 will actually be the last appearance of another big Hollywood actor, Mickey Rooney.
Oh,
Oh, is
really?
it Night at
Okay.
the Museum?
So that's officially his last movie for Mickey
Oh.
Rooney.
Uh-huh.
It's sad that Mickey Rooney died too, but he was like 98. He was very old. So that makes sense.
Yeah, but the thing of just getting into depression here, I guess. Yeah, the thing with all comedians is that your great comedy comes from great tragedy. It's like a balance you have to have almost. Like some of the best cases of comedians have the darkest of demons and issues that eventually end in their either demise or something bad happening to them.
Mhm.
You know, like you got your Richard Pryors, you got your Andy Kaufmans, you got your a lot of tragedy. Even some of the brighter cases, like you get your Tim Allen, still have some demons.
Ray
Burning
Romano.
Sure.
Well, no, I saw. I'm sorry, I saw a True Hollywood Story or something about it, and most of that was talking about his depression. So Ray Romano definitely suffers from depression.
Yeah, like the classic thing is like comedians are self-hating, but yeah, there is truth to that. That's a little more than just self-hating. There is like, plus especially if you're a famous comedian, then things get all the more worse. Like Chris Farley is literally like kind of the dancing monkey, essentially.
Sure.
You know, he's dancing around for the money. Basically, well, he's dancing around, and if he changes his appearance or anything, or if he stops doing what he's known for, he's going to not become famous. People aren't going to like him anymore. So he has to do what he does in excess to protect his standing, and then eventually ends in his demise. And just in terms of, I guess, it's a little dark, but should we talk about the why?
Well, do you want me to, I'm definitely saving some personal stuff that I want to talk about in regards to my personal experiences, but,
No.
I guess, yeah, do you want to talk about it?
Well, when I first heard the news, I was thinking like, what possible, and I knew he battled with depression. I thought he was over it. He had, I thought he beat his,
Never over depression.
right.
That's, I can tell you that, right? That's, oh my god.
Well, I guess less with depression, more so with, I guess, the alcoholism, because he went to rehab recently.
Yeah, right.
He went to rehab recently, and he came out of it, so I thought he was okay. And I didn't know this. At first I thought Crazy Ones was picked up for another season, but apparently it wasn't. So maybe that, I don't know if that was a reason. There doesn't seem much of a reason for his.
No. That's
No, not the. I mean the relapse into the alcoholism. I don't mean the.
yeah.
Because I mean that's the only remotely negative thing that really happened in terms of his career. He had stuff down the pipeline, so he wasn't going to go broke at any time.
From what I've heard, like just behind the scenes, Robin Williams was very depressed on the set of The Crazy Ones. So
Really?
I think issues were before anything with that even happened.
Huh.
But I guess if you guys don't mind, my little personal stuff. So
Can I mention one thing before that?
yeah, sure.
You know, it's a really chilling thing, and this is something that happens with death, especially if someone of note. When you see what the last thing they did was, so I kind of fear that Robin Williams had a plan.
Oh,
Because you'll notice, from what I gathered, people showed like his final Instagram picture, and it's of him and his daughter from like ages ago, with him and his daughter Zelda. And it's like that basically says, Robin Williams saying, I love my daughter, essentially. And it was like done, I don't know how long before. It wasn't too long before. It might have been the week of, I think.
Right.
Whether he was mulling, I guess he's mulling it over the week is my interpretation of that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
why have an older picture if not a modern one? All of a
Sure.
sudden, you know. So I'm thinking he wants to be remembered the way he was.
Oh man. Oh, that's heavy. That's heavy. Mhm. All right. So I've been pretty open about the fact that I've been suffering from pretty severe depression most of my life. Um, and it's definitely something that just hits me in a very personal place. Like, not to get into too much detail about the struggles that I go through and whatnot, but it's one of those things where you're constantly you're constantly judging your own self-worth. I mean, it's never ending. It's absolutely never ending. Like you could be surrounded by friends, you could be doing the most successful thing in the world, but it's just there's I it's very difficult. It's because like with me personally, I know I've alienated people that have been close to me because I I have the tendency to just kind of go off, and I have the tendency to really. I mean, I've never displayed it, of course, online, and I'm sure nobody, you guys have not seen this side of me personally, but there's definitely been a lot of moments where I've just, pretty much just broken down, and I can be pretty brutal on myself. I really can. Anyone who knows me can, kind of attest to that. So it's just one of those things where, I have a very comfortable family life. I'm fortunate enough to, to be surrounded by a family who's just incredibly supportive of me. Just, you know, and they, and I feel like that's one of those things where some of the people in my life don't have that. And when they see me getting incredibly upset, it's, oh boy, this is like turning into a personal therapy session. I should probably not dwell too much on this,
Well, you
but
know something. Sorry, something I kind of forgot to mention is a recent development with Williams.
yeah.
Not the reason, but I heard that again. A friend of mine I had to break it to a friend of mine who was also he's a big Robin Williams fan. I was kind of worried about how he was going to take the news, but he did really believe it at first. I told him, well, that's what happened. Really, I mean, I said like the suicide's not confirmed yet because like now it's officially confirmed.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it was with a belt and it's not pretty, but he basically like I just for the sake of him, like I once the details are revealed, I kind of looked into it, just seeing like if there is any like chance of like a type of George Reeve type scenario, which I doubt, because like who would have it after Robin Williams? He's a local guy. Come on. But because again, it's just feeding into that whole like this really random for this guy to have for this to happen out of the blue like that. But again, it has been building over years, so it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. But something that was of note in the autopsy report was that he had abrasions, most likely from his pocket knife, on his arms. So presumably he had been attempting it. I don't know how long, but he had been, uh, mulling it over in different ways before he eventually came to a solution of his, the belt.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's just it's very hard. It really is. I mean, it's a daily struggle, because this channel and So You Want to Be an Imagineer in general is basically the most successful thing I've ever been involved in, because it's like I've never held down a full-time job. I've tried to go to college, and just the stress of that just wears me down. And I absolutely cannot get a driver's license for medical reasons, and all those things I'm just kind of like experiencing now, and it's like all those things are stuff that are sort of like the checklist for becoming an adult and coming into your own and whatnot, and that I'm just kind of far behind on, and so it's hard because And so that's why you've got to just, you know, just channel. I mean, I know exactly what it is to channel pain into comedy, because it's like, with me, I have a tendency to make fun of myself in a very biting and sarcastic and poking way to people I just met, as a way to be like, hey, yeah, here are my character flaws. I'm just going to call them out so that, you know, so that people don't, I don't know. I don't even really have a direction for this, but it's a struggle. And it's something that I wish the media would pay a little bit more attention to the depression side of this story, instead of just being like, oh, Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire, and the Genie, wasn't he great? Because, yeah, of course, obviously, he was insanely talented. I think that you can only say that so much, but
Tiki,
what?
if I may inquire, plus for the audience, so you guys got to inquire. So we're talking about depression, but not really. What does someone do when faced with? What is the proper thing to do? Do we have any bearing on that? Like, how do we stop something like this from happening in the future of people we care about who have suffering from depression? Like, how do we stop that? How do we deal with it?
Oh, there's absolutely no easy way to go about it, personally.
What's the smart way to go about it?
Well, talking and being open. That's what I need on a personal level, and I feel like this is where it gets very personal. You know, it's like I feel like with me and my depression, I feel like I've definitely alienated a lot of people that were previously close to me, and this is just personally, I feel like, you know, quite frankly, I feel like people AdvBlueDude, BlueDragonFive, Monkey, Garrett, you guys are the closest things I have to real, true friendships right now and true relationships, because my personal social life is kind of a mess. It's kind of a fucking mess. I really, I don't know. I don't. Part of it is I don't pursue relationships. But what I'm trying to say, BlueDragonFive, to answer your question is, gosh darn it, it would sure mean a lot to me if people once in a while would reach out to me on Facebook and just be like, hey, Tyler, you want to hang out, you want to do something, you want to, or even not just hang out, just reach out and just be like, hey, how are you doing? Because the fact that I live with depression is not something that's a secret. It's something that pretty much anyone who knows me knows about. It's a pretty open thing, and it's just, on a personal level, I think if you know someone's having a hard time, just reach out and talk, because that's really the best thing you could do for them personally, is to let them know that there's someone there that cares about them, because that's a doubt in my mind that I go through every day, especially with people my own age. Because I know
from the other end?
I've always been one of those people that gets along way better with adults than people my own age. People my own age are kind of like a little bit of a mystery to me. I guess I'm just like an old soul, It's like I very much, I'm just like my intellectual thought process and my, I just have a way of thinking about the world in general that's very complex, and I feel like it goes over people's heads, and I feel like when people talk to me, it tends to alienate them. But
what about from the other end? So what does a depressed person do to reach out to somebody specifically? Can that happen, or?
It's tough, like I said, it's tough. I mean, it's what I do on a personal level is, that's why it's important to have. I feel like I would just, and excuse me for being blunt with this, but I would be dead without my family. Without my family support, I would have killed myself long ago. That's fact. My family has supported me so much through everything that if I didn't have a supportive family,
Right. You need people around there for that safety net. You need that safety net to keep going.
You know, like, like with my little brother and everything. You know,
Right, right.
you know.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
right. Okay, well, you know what we gotta do? I think Robin Williams, again, if I may continue here,
Yeah, yeah.
I think Robin Williams would like to be remembered because, again, he did mask that pain, but he did mask that pain. What he masked it with was that humor. He embraced that humor, even just looking at the outtakes or something like the Crazy Ones. Crazy Ones wasn't the best show, but he was a bright spot in that show, definitely.
Oh,
And what he would do is, like, you see those outtakes, he was at least having fun with it when he was there. At least he seemed like it. He wanted to propel that, like, I'm having fun with you guys, should have fun with it too, we're all here to, have some laughs, and even in the dramatic movies, he's having tears off the set, they're having laughs. We're making movies, we're doing something magical here, guys, we gotta embrace this. He was doing all this just to get that reaction, like any comedian does. They try to get a reaction, or any actor tries to get an emotional reaction or any reaction at all. So I think we should take the time here, just kind of to go into kind of what that impact has been from talk about kind of the stuff that he's done, how he's affected us in terms of his work to us in the world. Like some of those moments that just kind of encapsulate what Robin Williams' goal was in this world.
yeah, most certainly. I think that's a very appropriate way to kind of end out this conversation.
Yeah.
I guess like a thing to do would maybe be to go roundtable and kind of like spotlight a few of our most memorable Robin Williams performances, and then kind of go from there. So
Yeah, like moments that say the most about Williams.
What?
Like moments that say the most about Williams, also.
Sure, yeah. So you wanna start? You wanna start us off?
Yeah. AdvBlueDude, you want to go?
Yeah, sure, I can go. First thing that comes to mind, and I don't know, this might be my favorite movie with him. Maybe. The Point of the Birdcage. It's a wonderful movie.
That is a great movie.
Incredible. It's great. It's so great.
He plays such a great character.
He really does. Just between him and Nathan Lane, though,
he plays the rational guy in the
Yeah.
in the relationship, and he's like the one there's this one crazy night, and he's like he's being the center point, saying, "Okay, we get through this night, we can do it." He's panicking, he's sweating through everything.
so great. It's weird because in the movie I suppose he kind of plays a stereotypical gay man, but at the same time it's much deeper.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's a great.
He gets up in arms about hiding who he is. He really hates that.
Yeah.
Hiding who he is.
Yeah.
But
It's a great goddamn movie.
But during those panicking scenes, it's like he's trying to fix the Titanic with a glue gun, pretty much.
Yeah. Such a good movie. But there's another thing that I'd really like to mention that you guys haven't seen because Tiki couldn't find it. There's an episode of Louie.
Yeah.
With Robin Williams, and it's possibly like one of the most heartfelt things to watch, especially after he died. So it's only 8 minutes long. Essentially, what it is, it's Louis C.K. He goes to a funeral of a man who is just a complete asshole. And the only other person who shows up at the funeral is Robin Williams. Because the man who just died, he was Robin Williams' ex-brother-in-law. So, like, essentially, Louis and Robin Williams, they go to a diner and just talk about how much of an asshole he was. And how, like, he stole, like, $100,000 from Robin Williams, and just a total tool. And they eventually... And then they remember that, like, throughout his life, like, as he was, like, he would try to be loved by everyone, this guy who died, despite his assholishness and everything. And in that, every night after, I forgot to mention, I'm bad at telling stories, the guy who died also owned the comedy club that Louis C.K. played at, which is why Louis went to the funeral, because both he and Robin Williams came to the conclusion that it'd be sad to have a funeral that nobody was at, which is why they were the only two people there. So, in this guy, his name's Barney, and Barney's trying to fit in with everyone, like be everyone's best friend. After every show, he would invite them to a strip club called Sweet Charity, and he would do the same with Robin Williams. So they eventually decided in his honor to go to the strip club, and they're in the strip club, and the strippers offer a lap dance, and they both say no, that they're here to honor this one guy, and they very rudely ask who died, and they say that Barney died, and that shuts down the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they all knew and loved who Barney was, who loved Barney, and they just didn't know that he died. So like it's really interesting. It's an interesting story to see that.
Kind of like the dichotomy of, like, you know, like, what someone meant to, you know, different people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, in this entirely different group,
Mm-hmm.
like, in one group he's absolutely loved and adored, and like, the whole strip club shuts down because this guy died.
Right.
A good balance
But in
of comedy
another
and drama
circle...
there.
What?
You got a good balance of comedy and drama there. It's like
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
That's like the real life kind of drama of like, well, someone died, you don't like them, and yet you're having this real conversation with someone. The humor coming from that conversation, man, that guy sucked.
Yeah. And then in another circle, you just absolutely hated him.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
You
yeah.
saw him as a gigantic douchebag. But what really gets me is the end, when they both walk out of the strip club and just laugh. And then before they walk away, they agree to whoever dies first, they'll go to each other's funeral.
Oh, that's
And like,
Oh, man.
I teared up. That
Yeah.
doesn't usually happen for me. It happens.
you know, there's
just-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, just that ending. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an episode of The Crazy Ones where there's something similar to that with Robin Williams. He's forced to give an old client who he hated a eulogy,
Yeah.
and no one liked the guy.
Yeah.
And has to give him a eulogy because the daughter, or I think it's the daughter, wants a eulogy for her father because she doesn't know how bad her father was. It's hilarious. That's it. I guess, should I go to some of my moments or anything else eventually?
Oh, yeah, by all means. Or,
No, just-
BlueDragonFive.
No, just that episode.
A lot of moments from Robin Williams, but I guess overall, one moment, just kind of film in general, Jack. Jack is a film that's kind of panned by critics, and I guess looking back at it, it's not as good as I remember it to be, but it does have its moments, and some people call it sappy. I call it genuine emotional moments in that film. Just the idea, it's an interesting concept. This 10-year-old kid is in the body of a 40-year-old, essentially. And just the realization, the thing that really got me in the film emotionally is that when he realizes his own mortality, like he's doing the math in the classroom, basically says, he does the math, he says, I'm only going to live like, I don't know how many more years, like my body will be like 112 when I'm, I think, 21, I think is the age, or 18.
Right.
Forget the math, but essentially he'd be really old, and then basically, then the end of the film is he's graduating college as a really old man, giving a speech about, living to see them tomorrow, so to speak. And it's just kind of a nice thing. Basically, he befriended this kid in the movie, and basically kind of comes to grips with, what, I may be getting older, but I can still live life to the fullest. It's a nice little message, The movie's got a lot of comedy, but it does have a big emotional core there. It's like you're living in this hard circumstance, and yet you're still living your life. It's just that childlike wonder is still there in the body of this 40-year-old.
Kind of sounds like what Bicentennial Man was actually advertised as.
I love Bicentennial Man, by the way. I want to make that clear.
Bicentennial Man is that it's a little bit melodramatic.
I'll admit the only thing about Bicentennial Man that kind of bothers me, it's a little creepy where the relationship comes from, because it is essentially that's the daughter of his long lost love, who's technically
Yeah.
So it's a little just where the relationship comes from is a little screwed up, but it's a good film. So that's good. Bicentennial Man on the whole, I really love Bicentennial Man. The scene that really gets me in Bicentennial Man is that the man who bought him, the father who bought him, basically he went through a whole arc with him, basically saying, I give you your freedom and all that stuff. It inspires him because he keeps Andrew around, the android. Get it? Android.
Yes.
Keeps him around because he kind of likes how he's different from the other robots. That he has a soul, essentially. And he keeps him around. Essentially, he becomes his own person. I forget if this is before this point or not. I think it was. Can't quite recall, but at one point he tells him to live your own life, get out of here. Basically, he kind of renounces staying with the family because he wants to explore. And the father respects the choice, but he becomes the father to this guy in itself. The two scenes in particular. It's one before that scene where they're at the wedding of his daughter, and Andrew has recorded the wedding on his brain, and the father sits down with him by the pool, and he plays the projection of the whole wedding of like the daughter dancing with the groom, and they're just kind of both sitting there, these two men enjoying the moment, like. You know, she's come a long way. We both watched her growing up. That's nice. Then the other moment is when he died, when the father dies, because many years go by, and this one bicentennial, man. Come on.
Oh yeah.
So it is kind of a moving moment. We saw that nice moment with those two just then. They kind of went through some stuff where basically he kicked them out of the house, essentially, or basically he wanted to go on his own. They left on bitter terms, and he's dying, so he comes back and basically he says goodbye to his friend. And it's a moving thing. The scene always really got me.
Oh.
Also, I loved Oliver Platt in that movie. I loved the dynamic he had with Oliver Platt too. Oliver Platt's wonderful. He made a friend in Oliver Platt. Oliver Platt's the man who made him human. They gave him all the human upgrades. Nice little thing there. And the scene I just kind of, this one isn't exactly a real emotional. I don't know. It's emotional, but it's not tragic emotional. It's kind of triumphant emotional, I guess, if I'm going to label it. The moment it's a real simple moment. In Night at the Museum, he plays Teddy Roosevelt. I love the way he plays Teddy Roosevelt because he plays him straight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, most certainly.
The comedy is there, but it's just coming from how straight he's playing, and that's how Teddy Roosevelt did that. And that's why Teddy Roosevelt was kind of a beloved guy somewhat, you know? Yeah, he was a hunter, but he loved life. He lived it to the fullest, which kind of relates to Robin Williams just looking in the grand scheme of his life. That's the way Robin Williams lived. You know, he lived to the fullest in terms of, just how the energy he brought to his roles. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so the moment basically we see Larry Daly, Ben Stiller's character, the security guard. He's getting a little disillusioned, and basically he befriends Teddy Roosevelt, which I love that friendship in itself. But then this is the second night, things go terribly, all his plans fail. He basically says, "I give up." He gives him the keys, and he gives Roosevelt the keys. He says, "Okay, you can be the night guard." He says, "No, Lawrence, I can't be the night guard." And basically, then this really poignant moment happens. Larry goes out there, and he notices the Neanderthals outside the museum, and it's daylight. And the Neanderthal guy disintegrates. So a wax life has been lost because of Larry. He feels guilty. And I forget exactly what the line was, but essentially Roosevelt had previously said, this museum needs a night guard, or at least needs the right man for the job, essentially, is what he's saying. And he thinks that's him. And then he sees the Neanderthal disintegrate, and he comes back inside the museum, and he sees this really poignant image. This image really hits on me. It's the wax Robin Williams Roosevelt on the horse, with his hand extended holding the keys.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like him saying, "Look, you can do this. I believe in you. Here are the keys. You deserve this. I know you can do it." That really hits home for me. It's like a triumph, and just looking at it now, it's like the Robin Williams, like he'll no longer be around, but kind of that saying, you can do this. You can live to laugh past the moment. You can keep on going. You can kind of relate to that Christopher Reeve thing I mentioned previously, saying you can keep going.
Right.
Coming from a moment of genuine emotion, but also filled with kind of that fun humor Williams had in his life. That moment really hits home for me.
All right. Any other things you want to highlight?
Well, I want to say this about one of his characters real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think the role that best captured Robin Williams was the genie from Aladdin.
Oh, most certainly. I'd say at this point, the genie is probably going to be, above all else, the thing that makes him, like, the performance.
And you know why? It's because I think, just to put it simply, it's so true to Rob Williams, because to put simply, he was magic. He was pure and bombastic with phenomenal cosmic power, with compassion and love behind that power too.
Oh yeah.
And the genie encapsulates that. He's basically that's the thing that made Robin Williams. He basically made the whole career off of that thing, essentially. Or at least he put all his comic genius into that character. Which, by the way, again, Williams, he had his whole bout with Disney now and again. He had his round. He won a few rounds with Disney. Came out victorious too, by the way. So good for Williams. He believed in that movie. He didn't just believe in the genie. He believed in the story of the film. So he said to Disney, "Don't showcase the genie more than you need to. Like, only showcase him like 25%.
Right.
Like, I don't want him to be all in the advertising, because this film is about these these characters here. Don't make it just about the big blue guy. They did that, but still, the sentiment is there that he believed in that film. He believed in the medium of animation and the storytelling, and he had a lot of fun with that role. And just that role is like, Genie has constant moments of comedy and in doing impersonations. As Robin Williams, like, I'm losing to a rug, all the funny stuff. But but he also had those great moments of, like, when he saves Aladdin. It's like the Robin Williams moments where he finds Aladdin's drowning. He snaps out of the comedy. He says, "Hey, ow, wake up, pal! Come on, Aladdin!" And he realizes, and then he says, "Come on, kid, I can't help you out of this one. We can't give you another freebie." And then he saves him, and then he says, "I'm kind of fond of you, kid." It's a nice moment.
Right.
I think it just kind of sums up Robin Williams in terms of he was this hilarious guy, but he also had his moments of true. You get those true glimpses at the true Robin Williams underneath the surface when there's moments like also the moment where he says, "I want to be free. I want freedom." And at the end, he gets that freedom. I think Robin Williams overall, he kind of wanted that, if not freedom, but just kind of that expression of the side he never got to express, which kind of led to the depression, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said before, it's one of those things that really influenced a lot of the film roles he chose, especially in the last, like, decade and a half of his career. Like going back to the 1 Hour Photo and the Insomnia and stuff like that. Even Good Will Hunting, and Fisher King, BlueDragonFive, or I'm sorry, AdvBlueDude. Getting too mixed up, even when you're in the same fucking hangout. Wow, good for me.
It's okay.
AdvBlueDude, do you have any thoughts on the Fisher King being a Terry Gilliam movie, and you're a big Terry Gilliam fan?
I have not seen it yet. I was actually going to watch it tomorrow, because it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
Yeah. It looks really great, though, especially because it has the woman who plays opposite Robin Williams was the drug dealer's girlfriend in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, wow.
So,
and
yeah.
also Jeff Bridges, of course.
I'm sorry?
Also Jeff Bridges, of course.
Oh, yeah. No, it looks like a really great movie from what I've seen of
Fisher King, not my favorite Terry Gilliam movie. Definitely, it gets a little schmaltzy at times, but it's definitely very heartfelt. And actually, now that I brought up Jeff Bridges, I kind of want to tell this story that I'm sure a lot of people have already heard it. Chris Stuckman's video. Has anyone watched Chris Stuckman's video?
I almost did, but no.
I have not.
Okay, well, he actually, if you want to talk about finding out, like, how we found out, this is pretty much like the ultimate, like, gut punch way to find out, because Chris Stuckman was actually at a screening of the new Jeff Bridges movie called The Giver, and Jeff Bridges just comes out, and he's just completely in tears, just breaking down, and he just says, "My friend just died." And then shortly afterwards, someone came out to officially confirm, Robin Williams had passed. So,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Jeff Bridges just completely breaking down in tears. The dude. So.
Ironmonger.
And also, just, with Chris Stuckman, he mentioned Good Will Hunting and how Chris Stuckman also has something of a guilt complex, much like I have, where he blames himself for a lot of stuff. So I've actually not seen Good Will Hunting. Definitely on my watch list now, especially with the stuff that Stuckman says about it, because Stuckman basically credits Good Will Hunting for bringing him out of his personal depression. But with Good Will Hunting, there's that famous scene, it's not your fault, and I feel like it's very poignant, Like, once again, I feel like everything that Robin Williams did, everything that he touched, he was trying to challenge a part of himself. And, like, with that role and with the whole it's not your fault thing, I feel like that's definitely, like, a direct challenge to his depression in that moment. But anyways, so some of my memories with Robin Williams, as a 90s kid, I gotta say, some of my favorite memories with Robin Williams are the movies that he wasn't really the best remembered for. I mean, of course there's The Genie. That's got, like I said, I think when all is said and done, that's the thing that's going to tower over the rest of his career. I mean, It is absolutely the most iconic thing that he ever did. But I grew up with stuff like Flubber, which, by the way, The Wedding was filmed at Open Door Church in Petaluma, so I have that personal connection to Flubber. Stuff like Flubber, Jumanji. Jumanji is one of the... You guys remember Jumanji?
Yeah, Jumanji, yeah.
Jumanji.
Yeah, that's one of those things I feel like nobody ever talks about anymore.
Hook.
But, oh man, that was such a creative movie back in the day.
Hook was a good one.
Yeah.
And I love Williams' character, and it's interesting, like, BlueDragonFive, you mentioned, like, Jack, and the whole idea of Williams playing. I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a through line with some of his roles. Not necessarily all of them, but a lot of his roles were kind of like, just, if not as obviously in your face as what Jack was, but a lot of his stuff was kind of like broken men dealing with comedy to get through things, or dealing with, like, Fisher King is a good example of that, because with Fisher King, it's the whole thing is this guy has created this whole fantasy world for himself, after witnessing something, after witnessing a very tragic event that I won't spoil, but so it's just one, you know what I mean. So a lot of his roles were just taking on very challenging elements. Like, look at something like Good Morning Vietnam. That's another perfect example of, very poignant subject matter. He's definitely the over-the-top comedian in certain aspects in that movie, but...
Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
Of course, and of course, oh shoot, one was just on my mind.
Can I mention something real quick while you think of it?
Yeah, sure.
There's another moment, again, I kind of going on that bandwagon, I guess. Bison Hillman, I think, is one of his most underrated performances. That's a good movie. He's really good in that movie. But it's a real funny scene.
I guess I have issues with the fact that Bicentennial Man was marketed as such a comedy.
Yeah, I mean, this moment I'm about to bring up is a funny moment, mind you, but it kind of has emotional darkness behind it.
Sure.
Robin Williams, again, the character's arc is that he wants to be more human. He's a human. He's a robot with a soul, pretty much.
Definitely, yeah.
And essentially, he wants to be more human, and the main reason he wants to be human is so he can...
Bicentennial Man and AI came out, like, right on top of each other.
Bicentennial Man's so much better than AI.
Yeah, exactly.
But, wait.
What?
That might be true, but I found an incredible quote that I didn't realize was from AI, and it sounds so Kubrickian, and if only Kubrick directed it.
Well, I mean, Robin Williams is an AI.
What?
Is it a Robin Williams quote?
Yes. Yeah, he's an AI.
Robin Williams has a cameo in AI, remember?
It's a batshit cameo, though.
I need to find this quote.
He's Mr. No.
Guys, keep talking. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, so the moment from Bicentennial, again, underrated film, a lot of really great stuff. But this thing, his emotional crux, he wants to be human, mainly so he can get the love of a woman, but also be accepted by many. the main things that's the main thing he wants in me. He wants to be human. He wants to literally have a heart, so to speak, a physical heart.
Absolutely.
And there's this moment they have this like C-3PO-ish like other robotic girl in the movie that's like the assistant to Oliver Platt's character. The scientist that makes him into a man, pretty much. He keeps upgrading. And there's this great scene where it's a hilarious scene. It's the girl is being really insensitive because she's a robot. She's saying she has like some emotions, but she's not fully there. She's basically singing the Tin Man song from Wizard of Oz. If he only had a heart, and that's like ticking him. That's ticking Andrew off. So she's like skipping along to the next bit, like to the next side of the screen where you don't see her, and then he asks Oliver Platt, "Where do you keep the Posisonic drill or whatever?" He says, "Oh yeah, it's over there on that shelf." And he walks off screen, and you just hear this gag. He grabs the drill and he turns it on. Basically, she's screaming, "Ah!" saying, "Oh no, give me the drill, Andrew!" The point is, it's kind of a bit of a violent gag, but the idea is she offended him so much he grabbed that drill and presumably he's like running after her with that drill. It's so funny. It cracks me up every time I watch that movie. It's a serious movie, but that's a hilarious moment, though.
Yeah. No, but seriously, like, no fault to the movie itself, but the trailers were so freaking misleading for that movie. It's just like, oh, Robin Williams is a robot who feels human emotions. Isn't it silly? Okay. But, no, just going back through some more of his 90s movies, you know, like, of course you got Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, I love Mrs. Doubtfire. You know what my favorite scene of that movie is?
That's a perfect example of something where it's like, incredibly comedic, but the heart of why he's doing it is very poignant. You know what I mean? Like, that movie has such a through line of heart to it.
My only one problem with that movie.
Premise of the whole thing.
The only problem with that film is Sally Fields doesn't. I just can't get into Sally Fields. I mean, she's not that likable to me in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but however, my favorite scene in that movie, I love the Luck Be a Lady scene.
Mm-hmm.
The making of Mrs. Doubtfire disguise, I love that.
Oh god.
AdvBlueDude, did you want to weigh in on something?
No, I was gonna. What the hell was I gonna say?
Yeah, this thing. Have you thought of it yet?
Well, I found the quote, but I don't really think it's worth mentioning because it doesn't really have anything to do with anything. It's a really great quote, but it's just Robin Williams.
Yeah, just read it. Come on.
Well, now I'm curious.
It's Dr. No. It's just a really interesting poem where it essentially
Just do it.
It's just a poem.
Do it in the voice.
Come on.
I can't do it in the voice. It just says, "Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Your quest will be perilous, and the reward is beyond price." In his book, How Can a Robot Become Human?, Professor Alan Halby writes of the power which will transform Mecha into Orga. It's mainly the first part, but like just that. It's really nice. Like I said, it has nothing to do with anything, and I thought it had more to do with something than it actually did.
No, that first part again?
Yes, that's the really good part.
No, but repeat it.
Yeah, come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand.
Okay, I do think you could kind of relate it to Rob, where it's like, you know, with Robin Williams, it's, I mean, this is kind of stretching it, of course. But, you know, it's like he's very childlike in all of his, you know, and it, you know, he's very much a person that hid a lot of, I don't know, that's one of the very complex things about Robin Williams, that I find that Robin Williams wanted to hide his depression, but also challenge it and put it on display as much as possible.
Think about it. He's embracing that lonely kid he was, and then by doing that, he's kind of trying to capture that missing element of his personality.
Exactly, yeah.
I'd also like to say, speaking of Terry Gilliam, he has probably one of the best responses to Robin Williams' death.
Oh, okay.
Is Robin Williams, the most astonishingly funny, brilliant, and profound and silly miracle of mind and spirit, has left the planet. He was a great heart, a fireball friend, a wondrous gift from the gods. Now the selfish bastards have taken him back. Fuck him. This is why Terry Gilliam is wonderful.
That's a good old Terry Gilliam right there. But you know, his friends Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal said
And no words.
Yeah, no words, and Billy Crystal's right, no words.
Yeah.
Yeah, but should we discuss some more?
Ben Stiller was like a tweet doesn't even begin to describe.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, BlueDragonFive, what?
I was gonna say, would you guys like to? I don't know if we just want to leave it what we just said earlier, but you want to discuss the Mork and Mindy appearance because it does relate to loss.
Yeah, I guess we can like kind of round out on that, but just one, just kind of just to briefly note, going through the whole sort of
90s.
Yeah, but the whole idea of him playing sort of man-children, of course he got hooked.
Oh yeah, but I want to say this: Robin Williams is perfect at playing a man child. He's one of the greats with that. Will Ferrell's another great with that, but boy, Robin Williams, he got it.
Oh, but no, it's like Hook kind of it perfectly sums up. It's like here's this guy who's he's trying to fit into the normal world, but gosh darn it, he's got this whimsical side of himself. So anyways, but yeah, I guess to sort of round out, because of course we all agree obviously it's without question his career is just ridiculous. I do kind of just for fun. I do kind of want to list off the 2006 movies that he did because that was really when.
Yeah, he hit a low point
that was
there.
Really
at least
kind of the stinker of a year, but just for fun.
License to Wed.
2006 we had Man of the Year.
Well, that's not.
I never saw it.
It has its moments, but it's too serious for me.
Yeah. Night at the Museum.
Okay,
I never saw the original Night at Museum.
That's a good one.
It's good.
That's really good. I mean, compared to the
Dick
others.
Van Dyke.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And he did all his own stunts.
Yes, he did. That's Dick Van. How is he
Also,
still
Dick Van
alive?
Dyke coming back for the third one too. By the way.
Is he? I'd like to see that. I like.
They're all
Dick Van
coming
Dyke.
back. All the bad guys in the first movie are coming back.
Who is the other guy?
Remember, it's Bill Cobbs and Mickey Rooney, and
Yes.
They're all coming back.
Yeah.
But then 2006, Happy Feet.
Yeah.
Happy Feet was okay.
Well, I mean, that's cheap.
Wasn't the best.
It's a dancing penguin. Come on.
This movie at all.
But I had Brittany Murphy. What?
Everyone's Hero.
Oh, that one, I've seen that one. That's Christopher Reeves. He directed that movie before he died.
Oh,
Really?
Okay.
So
Nice.
Christopher Reeves directed that. Robin Williams plays the bad guy in that movie. He's basically the big tycoon who's buying the baseball bats.
Oh,
and
That gives
he
me a
plays
reason to
funny-
watch it now.
Robin Williams plays a funny character, basically kind of like this. He does kind of his Hispanic guy character, like the fast-talking Hispanic.
Yeah.
Not that the character's Hispanic, which is even funnier. just like kind of this bastard saying, basically, the guy who's doing all the dirty work, the lag, he's saying, well, if you want to be on the baseball team, you're going to do this shot for it, I'm going to hurt you. He hates Babe Ruth, that's why he's stealing the bat. So it's a funny character. So.
And, to round off his 2006 career, RV. Yeah.
Oh, no. Again, we should mention that he did try for these films. He put his heart into it, but
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's like looking back to
what?
Oh, I'm
Can
sorry.
you hear me?
Yeah. Even looking back to his worst movies,
License to Wed.
What?
License to Wed's another one on there.
Right. Oh God. Oh man.
Krasinski, how could you have forsaken me?
Oh man. But also, kind of go to the Disney vibe. Adventure Blue, do you have anything to say about Timekeeper?
Oh my god, I completely forgot that.
Old dogs.
no, we don't mention that here, but Timekeeper. Timekeeper was absolutely incredible. It was the last Circle Vision theater film ever produced.
But it's fascinating because it's like, with Timekeeper, what they did was they essentially, like, it was like, okay, let's take this general concept that we've had in Disney parks forever and just go balls
Give it a story.
out and just do everything with it.
And give it a story and add animatronics.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, I suppose it was a risk. It was probably a risk. And it paid off, and it was just absolutely incredible. And it had Jules Verne, and it had Jeremy Irons, actually, for a second. Played H.G.
Jeremy
Wells.
Irons shows up quite a lot in Disney parks, doesn't he?
Only twice.
Only twice.
Yeah. Well, 3 times more if you count Lion King. But yeah, like, he was really, really good in Timekeeper. He was just doing his classic, like, 90s Robin Williams thing.
Oh.
But, yeah, essentially. But, I mean, still, it's... Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, though, the parody of Robin Williams wears a little thin on me, because the guy was more than just a one gimmick. He had smart things to say. That's the thing people forget. Like, you know, when they do
no,
like
he
Family
did,
Guy.
but still, that was his shtick.
I know, but I'm just saying, seeing the parody, like, there's literally a whole episode of Family Guy where they do the what if, where Peter touches people and they become Robin Williams. I'm thinking that's too much. I mean, come on.
I've never seen that episode. Holy shit.
It's actually funny.
It's kind of funny, but it's ridiculous.
No, it's like, as a matter of fact, I'm even guilty of that. Like BlueDragonFive, you know, when I did when we were doing the Mork and Mindy episode on Christmas in July, I was very much hamming up the, like, ho ho, you know?
Yeah.
You remember that?
I remember it. That's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah, like, you know, so, but no, I mean, absolutely, if there's one thing that we can take away from this discussion, it's that Robin Williams was more than just the ho ho.
I think the Savage Group's gonna learn that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He literally did a whole like character with the funny nose when he was reviewing Patch Adams. You know, So Patch Adams, Ron Williams, he does deliver a good performance in Patch Adams, even though he's inaccurate. It's not a bad movie, it's just inaccurate as heck.
My story arc is complete. Oh God! Oh Jesus Christ! Another.
The noodle scene kind of gets you, doesn't it? Like the noodle scene.
Actually, I just realized, like, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Robin Williams dying very closely to each other.
Oh Christ!
It's very poignant now.
Well, the thing I told you, I realized, not going to get into it here, but I realized the parallels in another one of his movies, the circumstances at hand. But let's not get into that now.
Yeah, let's not.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
So let's see. I guess any other. So even like in films like Old Dogs, where they all turn to Jack Nicholson at the end.
Just one quick Disney park related thing I want to bring up, and then we can get into the Mork and Mindy episode. But Adventure BlueDude. God damn it! I'm still getting you two mixed up.
It's okay.
I'm
used
better
to the
looking.
profiling. I'm used to the profiling. It's okay.
You're used to it.
I am a profile.
Okay, but Adventure BlueDude. So, do you know anything about Back to Neverland?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that fascinating that he did that in 1989 before he did the Genie.
No. Unless you mean 89.
Yeah, 1989. That's what I said.
Okay, you said 99 the first time.
No, I said 89.
Okay. But it's been a while since I've seen it. But it was the original pre-show to the animation tour, the animation thing at MGM. And it's interesting because it's just going about the process of animation. But it has Robin Williams.
I love that.
What?
I love that attraction, MGM. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, it's really great, but it has Walter Cronkite and Robin Williams. And it's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen it. But it's really good. It's really nice. Yeah.
Well, can I mention something real quick?
Yeah.
I recently today, I watched a clip they had on like the news well, not on the news, but like the internet news. I clicked the video, and it was for Finding Nemo. It was the acceptance of. It was the best animated film of I guess whenever Nemo came out. It was 2003, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either 3 or 4. The point is,
Yeah.
what?
I said
No,
it's
no.
2004 was Incredibles.
Well, the
Right,
movie
right.
came out in 2003, but the Academy Awards were 2000.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Anyway, so point is, whenever the Academy Awards for that was, Nemo wins, and basically Williams and Billy Crystal are kind of playing off a gag, or Robin Williams is like doing he's subtitling, not subtitling, he's dubbing over Billy Crystal behind him, like speaking like a mile a minute in Spanish, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that basically then comes out, basically he's messing around with him, and it's fun stuff. He's even wearing this cool like overcoat, Oscar coat thing. It looks really neat. Anyway, the thing is kind of, it's a simple thing. It's more silly and connected to me, I guess, but it's that Andrew Stan gets up there, and he's happy as all get out. He's genuinely so happy that Finding Nemo got an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, Robin Williams is up there, and, he puts his hand on his shoulder when they're walking off stage. It's like a moment, like, I'm sure Andrew Stan is like thinking to himself, oh man, Robin Williams is up here. I never thought I'd get to this place. Robin Williams is like over here putting his arm over my shoulder. Congratulations.
Yeah, right.
That's a nice bit, There's something nice just to see, like, Williams connecting with some of the Pixar guys. And also, he actually made a joke about Pixar on the stage there. Basically said that, made fun of Eisner, saying, you let any more people go, you're going to be, lose Miramax, what are you going to have? It's kind of funny.
And just briefly, like, his stand-up career, I mean, that's another thing. Like, that, there's so much in that, let alone any of his movies. I mean, it's like, if he was just a stand-up comedian, he'd still be a pretty famous talent, I think, because, oh man, like, there's the classic Evening with Robin Williams, and then I also saw, I'm not sure what the title of the special was, but it's the one where they had the poster for it, and it's like his mouth is taped and it's like a
Weapons of Self-Destruction.
Yeah, thank you. And I just couldn't get over, like, when I was watching that, I couldn't get over, like, just how insanely energetic and off the cusp he still is. Even into his 60s or whenever that was recorded, late 60s or late 50s, early 60s. Like, he just had such an energy to him, and quite frankly, I love how vulgar some of his stand-up gets, because I feel like his stand-up is, like, really where he could, because a lot of his movies were very family, I mean, not all
like
of them,
toys.
but a lot of them were very family friendly. So, it's just like, it's great to have Robin Williams kind of go off of, like, tangents using the word fuck a lot. I can appreciate it.
Do you remember the movie Toys?
I never saw it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the thing is, he played off. He was the kind of the goofy man-child, but he had a real serious side to him, which was pointed out by these great characters around, like Joan Cusack as his robotic sister.
Right.
So a lot of good dynamics he played off. He was the straight man with a lot. He was really comedic on the outside, but they showed he had a serious side. It was really neat the way they did it in that movie. Anyway, so good. So I guess, do we talk about Mork and Mindy?
Yeah, let's talk about that, just to kind of round it out. I think it's appropriate to talk about that last, considering that, well, I mean, I guess it's a little bit backwards, considering it's the first thing that started his career off. But, it's a fine place to end on. So go for it, BlueDragonFive, because you're kind of the authority on this.
Well, I'm... Okay, well, it's an emotional thing, that Mork and Mindy episode, because basically Mork makes a friend and he loses that friend, and it's really
I'm sorry, just set up like what the name of the episode is and everything.
No, it's called Dr. Morkenstein.
Uh-huh.
It's Mork and Mindy. I think it's season 3. So Dr. Morgenstein, he's guarding a museum full of these old sci-fi, well, not sci-fi, just like these old robots and old technologies, and he runs into an old sci-fi robot, Robbie the robot, essentially, who name's Chuck. And he befriends Chuck, he teaches him how to play checkers. They play a game of I Spy My Little Eye, a lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, he befriends him, and he tries to get him out in the world. It doesn't go so well. Unfortunately, like all machinery, it kind of breaks down. And Robin Williams goes through the whole gambit of emotions with his friend. You get to see the childlike wonder of, oh, my friend's a robot. We're pals. Yay. And then, of course, the loss of that friend and how it really affects him. And, like, there's a moment in there where Robin Williams, he just kind of, he shouts. It's a moment, I think you were talking about, Tiki. It's kind of like when you just can't deal with it. I think I want to say this is a real personal episode of Robin Williams. I don't know if he admitted it or not at all, or I don't know. But it's like a moment where things are going chaotic, and they're all like yelling at the robot, and he's getting them out of there. Basically, his friend's hurt, and the people are not helping the situation. He just kind of gets them out of there. And he basically says, "Shut up! There's nothing wrong with him."
Oh yeah.
There's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, that is like a very, very light version of what I display when I'm frustrated.
Point is, Robin Williams, I'm not going to really give away the end in case we do go into it in the future, I guess, but the point is, he runs through the gambit of emotions, and the loss of that friend is a really tragic scene. You feel so bad for Mork, and it is just brilliantly done. It's a testament to the power and caliber of what Robin Williams' performance and the heart he could put in that performance as well as the comedy. As funny as he was, basically, the flip side of that, he could be as traumatic as that, too.
Sure, and it's really interesting to kind of, I mean, like, look at Mork and Mindy. I mean, I've only seen 2 episodes of it. I've seen the Christmas special and now Dr. Morgenstein, and just in the 2 episodes I've seen, it's like, even at the very beginning of Williams' career, he ran the gambit of emotion. He did most of the Mork stuff was over the top, goofy, of course, but that character had a lot of humanity to him, of course, because he was essentially an alien learning about humanity. So that was kind of the whole. And that character was, and I don't know. In a way, I feel like.
I guess he felt that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
He felt like an alien. To a degree,
So it's almost like he came, like, we were introduced to Robin Williams as this alien that came into our world with this insane sense of humor and this insane pace of humor that is just completely one of a kind, will never be duplicated, and is just completely iconic and all.
Oh, wait, Tiki.
Huh?
Duplicated. Long contained. Sorry.
And
thank you.
But and it's just, I do find it quite fascinating, a little bit almost morbidly fascinating in retrospect to, like when you look at practically a good chunk of the roles he did, and I think this is really kind of the thesis statement of our whole discussion here that we kind of came to, is that so much can be said that can parallel the struggle that he was going through, and with the roles that he chose. And I think that's just so fascinating about, he's just incredibly complex, Oh
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really have all that much more to say. I feel like at this point, it's that's really the high. That's really the highest. It's just awe. It's just.
Adventure Blue Dude, the other way.
I don't really have anything else to say other than what's been said. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
yes.
Just really. I don't think there's ever going to be a career like this. Like, I don't think we're ever going to have a performer who's this bold about taking on these roles that so directly mirror his life and his struggle and And it's like, it's crazy because it's like, we're just like, you know, it happened like barely over 24 hours ago that the news broke.
I mean, the closest inkling we have to something just remotely close to this, I guess, would be Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man. That's the closest I can think of. And that's not by much. Exactly. I know it's absolutely not the same. I'm just saying that's the closest we can even get to something like that. Brian Williams, he does that in spades. It will never have a...
Well, I mean, no, I definitely think there's a lot of performers that do kind of like these challenging roles. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman is another example of one of those people who, you know, his inner demons were so complex that a lot of it kind of got out in the roles that he chose. But with Robin Williams, I think the thing that sets Williams apart is that tightrope between the comedic and the tragic. That I feel like it kind of defines him and defines his career in a way. And I think that's going to be a very important thing that we're going to have to look back on him for. Like, I definitely think it would be a huge misservice to him if all we focused on was the comedy, because I really feel like and it's, you know, like I said, it's just kind of crazy that you only realize this after he's gone, that all his roles were so deliberate and everything he did was just so tied into his personal struggles. But it's crazy to think about, and it's just one of those things that, you know, like I said, it's barely over 24 hours since the news broke. We're going to be processing this for weeks to come, months to come. This is going, like, I already, like, pretty much know for a fact that, you know, come Oscars 2015, Robin Williams is going to be, like, the last one on that reel. And it's just going to be a big ol' swelling of emotion.
Yeah.
AdvBlueDude, I think you're absolutely right. I do think this is like, it's the celebrity death of our generation. It's where were you when Robin Williams died? I feel like, oh man, it's hard to believe it. It's still, even after we've been sitting here for almost 2 hours talking about it, it's still just hard to process it. So, you know, all we can do is just celebrate the man for what he was, and, you know, just kind of try to take from him, and, you know, because I feel like that's what he wanted to bring to us all. You know, that whole, you know, to quote Good Will Hunting, "It's not your fault," and that's what he, you know, that's what he tried to incorporate into everything he did. So BlueDragonFive, you want to round us off? You want to take us out?
Wait, what am I into? Very quickly before this ends.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to quickly touch on that Lauren Bacall also died today.
Yes.
Yeah. Just very quickly mention that she died today.
I feel terrible that I really don't know who she is.
She was Humphrey Bogart's wife.
Yeah.
What was she in? Let me look it up quickly. She was in a lot of movies. A lot of famous movies.
Wasn't she in Casablanca? She wasn't the girl in Casablanca. That was someone
No, that
else.
was Ingrid Bergman.
That's Bergman.
Right, I'm trying to think what Bacall was in.
Oh, was
She's
she in?
with Bogart. Was it the gangster movie? Was it the begins of the
To Have and she was into Have and Have Not.
The Prehistoric Force, was that the one, or
I don't think so. She was in Murder on the Orient Express.
okay.
She was in a bunch of movies, but like, yeah. I just want to quickly mention that before we just entirely.
The greats are dying off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a hard year, you know. I mean, it's like two of my favorite people in Hollywood are now gone. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robin Williams. That's, oh man. It's been a tough year so far. But yeah, BlueDragonFive, you wanna take us out?
Sure. Just kind of some last words on Robin Williams, if I may. You know, whether he's an android with a soul, whether he's playing an android with a soul, the 26th president, a psychologist, a gay nightclub owner, a loving father who goes to theatrical measures to see his children, or even just an alien from outer space of the planet Orc. You know, it will always remain the fun he had in the life he brought to those characters and the experience we had viewing their respective journeys. Not just of them, but the journey of that kid in the suspenders performing on the streets and in the comedy clubs, making his mark on the world, the culture, and most importantly, our hearts. You know, rest in peace, Robin. Wherever you are up there, anywhere, just, you know, thanks and rest. You deserve it. You deserve a rest.
Yeah. Sleep well. Sleep well. I mean, it's a blow. It's a blow, and we will all, you know, this is.
We were lucky to have a friend like you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's going to be something that we are all just going to have to. It's crazy. I've never seen, you know, I've never seen the internet just come to a halt like this. So, yeah. All right. So yeah. So farewell, Robin. Farewell, Robin. You done good. You done good.